I'm going to be walking you guys through BI. I'm going to be telling you here that business intelligence is really the ability to make quicker and easier decisions with really better data reporting. And business intelligence takes the information that is all over the place within an organization's data structure and tries to make sense of it all. And what I mean by that is organizations collect data on their sales, on their services, on their products, and they need to make heads and tails of those sales items. They need to make sense of their numbers. So you have information. You have your product line. You have a product database. You have your advertising database. You have your customer demographic database and a bunch of other things. And business intelligence takes those elements and turns it into useful information, such as how many products sold $10,000 in the last month in the TV ad areas. If inventory levels drop 10%, drop to 10%, what customers might shop elsewhere. Can customer profile changes support a high price product, and so on. The two words on the bottom, OLTP, which is online transaction processing, which is the information collection. And then on the right-hand side, online analytical processing, which is OLAP, which is a business intelligence side, really gaining perspective of your data. So business intelligence allows you to have the information at your fingertips so that you can make better decisions. It helps you understand your business. It helps you understand what does and doesn't work. It helps you understand what products are working, what products are not working, what services are working, provides you with real-time analysis, quick navigation of your products and services, and really helps to identify waste in the system. In other words, if you have a product or service that's really not working, that's not selling, that people aren't buying, it says, hey, I don't really have much sales here, or many people aren't asking for that. So it allows you or gives you the information you need to change your strategy accordingly. So BI has these four levels, if you will. You have this basic, tactical, focused, and strategic. So you first you get a report that allows you to say, hey, I've got a bunch of data here. Then you need to analyze that data. What do we do with the information that we have? Then you model that data. What's going to happen once we make a change? Change our service, change our product. Where should we change it? Where should we offer it? And then based on the analysis, you make a prediction. And you make a prediction that serves as a critical means of growing your business in the direction that you want it to go. So business intelligence and information management topography looks something like this. I call this a fine mess. As you can see, stuff's all over the place. And yes, this is not junk. If you actually read what's here closely, separation between information management and business intelligence, combining architecture and data integration and mining and interactive and performance and programs and projects and data administration and master data and you name it. All of these things really play a huge role. The end result in BI really is it takes chaos, a lot of data that really means nothing or may not mean anything individually, to something that is orderly or that creates order. So it's very important to have your data make sense to you. If your data does not make sense to you, you're going to be unable to make educated decisions. You will be making guesses on what does and doesn't work and if things do and don't work. And as a result, your business is eventually going to hurt a great deal. So let me give you a little demonstration of what I'm talking about utilizing the great tool known as PowerPivot. So here is my machine here. Right. And on my machine right now, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to create something very basic. Okay? I'm going to create, actually I think I have it created. I have created a customer's data file. Look at this, only 3 customers here. And this has in it, let me make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can read it a little bit better. Make it Courier New, make it bold, make it a little bit bigger so that you guys can see. There we go. So Cust ID is the first column. Why am I showing it to you this way? In a plain old notepad or plain old text file and not in any format? Well, because I want to show you that you can construct a BI, you can construct analysis off of really plain data. You don't need to have any fancy data, and I am going to import this later on inside of a database as well so that you guys can see what that's like. So here I've got customer ID, I've got corporation name, and I've got zip code. So I've got a customer ID of 101, corporation name of ABC, zip code of 90210, customer ID of 102, corporation name DEF, and there's the other zip code, and then customer ID 103. I'm going to put in 104, and customer ID is CBS, right? Let me change these, ABC, NBC, CBS. How about that, Fox, right? And I'm going to make this a different zip code, 80112. Save this. So there are my 4 customers. Then I'm going to open up the next table. I've got a products table. Same thing. I've got a product ID, a product name, and a price. So I have a product ID of 201, 202, and 203. I've got 3 items, shoes, tie, and a shirt. And maybe I'm going to do 204. I'm going to do blazer. And I'm going to make this 409.17 for whatever reason. Why did I make it 17? Maybe I'm going to make it 90. Okay, so there are my 4 products. I'm going to open up invoices. Invoices table has an invoice ID, a product ID, a customer ID, and a quantity. So let me put this in a little bit more perspective. So right over here. This is going to be really difficult to see, and that's intentional, by the way. I want this to be difficult to see here because I want to depict what happens when people are too close to a given problem and are unable to see the big picture. So I'm going to show you what this looks like when you're looking at individual line items and how crappy this looks. And then I'm going to show you how we can gain some perspective. Let me open this up, open up customers, and let me make this a little bit bigger. So for example, right over here, I've got an invoice ID of 1001, 1002, 1003. I've got a product ID right here of 201, and product ID 201 is over here. Let me make this a little bit bigger because this is looking kind of horrible. 22. There we go. So product ID 201 right here is shoes. It's $99.95. And customer ID is 101. Well, customer ID of 101, let me make this a little bit bigger. Customer ID of 101. Yes, nobody really looks at data this way, but I'm just trying to make a point. Customer ID of 101 is ABC in the 90210 zip code. So basically, customer 101, ABC, purchased shoes, and they purchased 3 of them. Customer also purchased customer 101, they purchased 2 more of the same exact item. So customer ABC purchased 201, so I'm just going to change this to 202, 203, make this, I'm just changing the product IDs and the customer IDs that are associated with this, 203. Save this, okay? So this is just, this right here is inventory ID, product ID, customer ID, and then quantity. Really horrible way to look at data, right? This whole individually. So if you really were to spit out a really simple report, this data would look like so, and it really wouldn't be very friendly, right? Wouldn't be very friendly at all. And I've got customer 104, and I've got customer 101, 102, 103, 104, and right over here, I'm going to do 1009, product ID 202, customer 104, purchase 18 of them. Let me open up Excel so that we can make heads and tails of this stuff. Here's Excel. I'm going to open up a blank spreadsheet. And right over here, I've got the PowerPivot little tab there. The only reason I have that PowerPivot tab, and PowerPivot in Excel version 2013, Excel 2013, PowerPivot is included with Excel. All you have to do is turn it on. And the way you turn it on is you go to File, you go to Options, you go to Add-ins, you go down here to COM Add-ins on the bottom here, that drop down, and you select Go. And here is Microsoft Office PowerPivot for Excel. Microsoft Office PowerPivot for Excel. You click OK there, and you get this PowerPivot icon. If you have PowerPivot tab there, if you have Excel version 2010, all you have to do is download it. It's absolutely free from Microsoft. That doesn't cost anything. The interface in Excel 2010 looks a little different though. So I'm going to click on Manage, and when I click on Manage, it opens up this screen here. I'm going to select that I want to get data from other sources. Right here, I got to get the data from somewhere. I'm going to get the data from text files, and I'm going to specify that the data I'm going to get is going to be customers' data right here. Here's the customers that I brought in right there. All right, the 4 customers that I entered. I'm going to click Finish and let it import the customers. 5 rows. Well, one of them is blank, so I'm going to fix that and bring customers back in. So this row right here, I don't need that. There we go. Save that. I don't need any blank rows. It's going to give me a problem. I'm going to right-click over here, and I'm going to delete this. I'm going to say yes. External data from other sources. Go down to the text file. Click Next. Browse. Select customers, and bring customer data in. There we go. That's better. Click Finish. 4 rows. That's what I want. Exactly 4 rows in the customers table. I'm going to open up products, and I'm going to make sure that I don't make that mistake in products either. Save this and get out. And I'm going to also bring in invoices in a similar manner from other sources. Select that I want text file. Click Next. Click Browse. Bring in products this way. For products, click Finish. Close. From other sources, and finally I'm going to bring in invoices. Click Next, click Browse, double click on invoices, and click Finish, and click Close. There are my invoices. Now I want you to notice something here. Right here, all I've got is numbers, right? Inside of this, down here I can see invoices, customers, and products. There's a tab way down there on the bottom left. Okay? I can see that none of these things are related to each other. And what I mean by that, invoices has a product ID and it also has a customer ID. I don't want to relate, I don't really want to see 101, 102, 103, 104. That doesn't mean much to me. Neither do these product IDs. What does mean a lot to me are these product names. Shoes, tie, shirt, and blazer, and these customer names, ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS. Those mean something to me. So I need to establish a relationship, a very basic one, between the invoices table, or the invoices data, and the products data and the customers data. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, on the top right-hand corner here, I have data view, diagram view. I'm going to click on diagram view. And I'm going to say, here's products. No, I'm going to say put products here, put customers here, bring invoices over here. And I'm going to take the product ID and I'm going to drag it and drop it into the products ID in the products table. And I'm going to take the customer ID and I'm going to hit the customer ID. I'm going to drag it and drop it into the customers table, customer ID. There you go. And if I just put my mouse over the relationship, if I take my mouse over the relationship, I know how the data is related. Product ID with the product table, and then the customer ID with the customer table. If I I'm able to double click on this line here, this relationship line, and I can see how the data is related right there. Okay, so I'm just going to click OK here. So now I've got this plain old data related. I'm going to go back to the data view. I want you to notice something now. I want you to notice that in the invoice table, you see this little itty bitty icon up there? The one that, I don't know if you can barely see it, in the cust ID column and the product ID column, that icon tells me that there's a relationship there. That icon, that little icon, does not exist in quantity, and it does not exist in invoice ID. I'm going to go over to products. You see the same icon in product ID, letting me know that I've got a relationship right there. See it? Related to column product ID in table invoices. Product name and price are not related. I'm going to go to customers, and I'm going to hover over the cust ID, and I can see that the customer ID is related to the invoices table in that manner. Now here's something interesting. If I go over to invoices, I need to do something here. Quantity doesn't tell me much right here, does it? Right? Quantity is really, I want really this products. Here's my price. I want to multiply the price times the quantity to get a total cost. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to label this total cost like that. And then over here, I'm going to say equals QTY. Ta-da. There we go. There's our price. I created a calculated column. I'm going to make this thing total cost. Okay, so there's our total price. I'm going to make this thing in dollars right there. English, United States, dollars. There you go. I've got the dollar symbol, and I know how much every one of these things costs, and all I have to do is specify related in the products table, the price column. So it got the price. It got the price. Come on, let's go. It got the price from right here. All right? And it did the calculation. Well, wait a minute. Is this really giving me any intelligence? No, not really. I got to do this. I'm going to go to pivot table. Click on pivot table. New worksheet. There you go. Now I've got a pivot table right here. What does this do? Well, watch this. I'm going to open up products, invoices, and customers. I'm going to say corp name. Watch on the left. Look at this. I've got my customers, ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. And I'm going to say product name right here. Look at that. ABC, blazer, shirt, shoes, tie. And then I'm going to say total cost. Whoa, look at that. I've got myself a little bit of a breakdown. I haven't even done anything. So right here, right off the bat, I'm able to say ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. Here's my grand total. Here's how much I've sold. And here's a breakdown. NBC bought this much, Fox bought this much, CBS bought this much, and ABC bought this much. And if I want to find out specifically what they bought, I can just expand. I had to do nothing in order to get this little lovely piece of information. Then I can say, you know, I'm going to add a filter. And I'm going to add a filter of, instead of putting corp name here, I'm going to go over to filter. Now look what happened. It moved. I got the blazer, shirt, shoes, and tie. And right now it's listing it for all organizations. All organizations. I want to say, let me just find out from ABC what's happening. I'm going to click OK. For ABC, shoes and tie. This is what they brought. This is what they purchased. Go back to the filter and make it for CBS. Here's CBS. Go back to the filter, select multiple items, and select CBS and NBC. Look, multiple items. CBS and NBC together have purchased this much. This is known as a slicer. Let me go back. Let me go back to my PowerPivot here. I'm going to click on Pivot Chart right there. Okay. And it tells me, what kind of chart do you want? I'm going to make a pie chart. I'm going to make a bar chart? No, pie chart. Come on. Make it a little bit bigger here. Click OK. There's my chart. Look at that. So I've got my product name filter right here. I can say I just want to find out about blazer and shoes. And I want it from all organizations. Goes, okay, here you go. Blazer sold a lot of money, shoes barely. See the breakdown over here? Total cost value of that, and then if I hover over this, it gives me in a pie chart what's going on. Go back to the corp name, go on the slicer and dicer, and say, all right, I want to know, here's my slicer right here, right? I'm going to put it in the, I'm going to drag and drop product name in the slicer too, and I'm going to say, I only want to know shirts, tie, uncheck, go to corp name, and I want to know about it from CBS and Fox. And I just did the math. Very, very easy. Very easy and very accommodating. And once the database is created, I'm going to remove this table from here. It creates a default. I'm going to create a brand new table. I'm going to import a text file, and I'm going to import it from my data folder. I'm going to import the customer's text file. I'm going to click OK. Here's my customer's text file. I'm going to click Next. First row contains headers. This is access. I'm going to click Next. Click Next. Primary key is cust ID. Click Next. Finish. And close. So I've got customer's table. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, come on, what is it? I'm going to delete the, there we go. I'm going to import another table. I'm going to import a text file. And the text file I'm going to import, I've already got customers. I'm going to import invoices. Next. First row contains column names. Next, next. Primary key is invoice ID. Next, and finish. And click close, and there's my invoices table. Right click, import text file. Finally, I'm going to bring in my products. Click OK. Click Next. First row contains column names. Click Next, Next. Primary key is product ID. Click Next and click Finish. And click Close. There's my customers, invoices, and products. Let me open this up, open this up, open this up. There you go. I imported this into Access. Well, that's not good enough. I'm going to do something else. I am going to establish relationships between these three tables. Okay? Right now, there's no relationship established. I'm going to go to relationships over here. This is in Microsoft Access. I'm going to add the customers, the invoices, and the products table. I'm going to click Close. And you know the drill over here. I'm going to take cust ID over here, drag it and drop it into customers, and click Create. I'm going to take product ID and drag it and drop it into products, and click Create. Here I've got my relationships built. I'm going to save this database. I just clicked on that disk and saved this database. I've called this database DB01 ACCDB. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go to Excel. I'm going to go over to PowerPivot. I'm going to go over to Manage. I'm going to select from Database, Access. Last time, if you remember, I selected from other sources. I have many other options. SQL Server, Azure, which is a cloud-based database, SQL Parallel Data Warehouse. Here's Access right here. See it? Oracle, Teradata, and so on. I can also select from Database and select from Access. Click Browse, your DB01. Oops, file is in use. I got to close it. DB01. And I'm going to click Next. I don't need to specify a username or password for a Microsoft Access database because I haven't created one in there. I'm going to click Next. It says Select from a list of tables and views. To import, I'm going to click Next. I'm going to import everything, customers, invoices, and products. Click Finish. Here it is, 4 rows, 9 rows, and 4 rows. Data preparation completed. I click Close. Look on the bottom left. I've got customers, invoices, and products. Invoices and products. And if you look in products, notice that relationship symbol right there. I didn't have to relate it. I didn't have to construct a relationship inside of Pivot Table. It did it for me. Click on Invoices. Right? Go over here. Here is my relationship with the cust ID and the product ID. Go over to Customers. Right? Here's my cust ID relationship with the customers table, and then I can do the same thing. I can go over to the diagram view, take a look at the relationships. Here they are, that were brought in as a result of the relationship was brought in as a result of me having the relationship established in Excel. Pivot tables do not rely on relationships being constructed anywhere else. You can just construct the relationship inside of the pivot table. so the data can come from any source. I click on Pivot Table over here, create a chart and a table in an existing worksheet. Click OK. So here's a pivot table, there's a chart. Go over to Invoices and do the same thing that I was doing. I can say I want the product name, I want the quantity, and I want the customers. I want the company name. Come on. Corp name. There you go. Right. So I can click in this area. Same deal. So this is the chart that it constructed. I don't have to do anything. Notice, here's ABC, CBS, NBC, blazer, shirt, shoes, tie. See the totals and stuff. So what's the problem with this structure? Well, the way this looks right now, okay? The way this looks right now and the way this data is at the moment, I have, if I go over to Data View and I go over to Invoices, I don't have that total cost table. Column. You notice that? I don't have that total cost column. Let me go over to Excel and look at Invoices. I don't see a total cost column. I see quantity, but I don't see total cost. So let me do this. I'm going to go over to my Excel. No, I'm going to go over to my pivot table right here. And I'm going to include or create a total cost column. I'm going to do, rich like I did before, I'm going to do related, and I'm going to do products, price. Yeah, I know. Stop complaining. Products, price, times quantity. Okay. And there's my cost. Make this thing dollar, English dollar amounts. Change the title to total cost. There we go. And I'm going to go back to my pivot table. Let me save this thing right there. Go back to my pivot table. Go PT. Go back to my pivot table. Go over to Invoices. Look, now I've got total cost. You see it? Didn't have to update anything. It just showed up. There you go. Now I'm getting a little bit of a different data. I'm going to undo quantity because I don't care about it. Go over to the pivot table area. Go over to products in the pivot table area. Select product name. Come on. Product name. Let's go. Invoices. Select total cost. And go over to customers and select corp name. Look at that. Now I'm looking at things side by side. Real beauty of pivot tables. Now this can be expanded, and this I'm just showing you very, very basic things associated with PowerPivot. There's also another tool that's included that I'm really not going to be discussing today, but there's another tool that's included that is known as, I'm going to go to options, and I'm going to go over to add-ins. I'm going to go over to com add-ins. I'm going to click go. Here's Power View right here. See it? This is also included within Excel 2013. Power View is a little bit different, but it really allows you to get information about the data inside of graphs and diagrams and charts very, very easily. The whole purpose of PowerPivot and Power View is really to allow you to make sense, heads and tails of the information you have at your fingertips very, very easily. As you can see right now, I'm only dealing with, well, no data at all, 9, 10 rows. I mean, that's nothing. If you're really dealing with millions upon millions of rows of data, thousands upon thousands of products, if you really want to think big, think about Walmart and places like that. They cannot do without business intelligence tools. They use PowerPivot on a daily basis for various different things to have the data make sense to them. If this was actually data coming off of, Fox's network or whatever, they'd be able to say, oh, our blazers are selling really well. CBS will say our shirts, are selling all right, shoes and so on. And I'm able to right over, just all I have to do, click on the chart, for example, go over to product name and drag it to the filter. And it just creates the product name filter right here. And I can select which products I'm interested in. I can select that I'm interested in the shirt. And it just gives me information about shirt. CBS and NBC bought a shirt. I can go over here, change it to, shoes, and I can see that ABC is the only one that bought shoes. I can change the corp name. I can select which corporations I'm interested in, all or none. This is very, very simple, what's called slicers and dicers, if you will. I can go over here to my chart, and I can do the same thing. I can drag and drop the corp name and filters, and I can say that I'm interested only in CBS data. And here's what CBS bought, shirt and tie. And this is what it costed them. Okay. I can go over to price, like that. And here's prices, individual prices. See some of the price for blazer, shirt, shoes, and tie. Okay. That's for CBS. I can select all, click OK, and everything changes. Okay. This is how much individual items cost. If I go to invoices and I click on quantity, now I know 102.14 times 31 equals 3166. 99.95 times 3 equals 299, and so on. I can calculate what goes on here. Okay. So all this work is done for me. Okay. And it says right, look, relationship between tables may be needed. I can construct it if I want to. But it's very, very simple to be able to do this, very easy to take the data and make heads and tails of it, and PowerPivot makes that possible. Doesn't matter where the data is coming from.